Okay, so I think we agreed or we found certain problems that we found that you guys in your presentation, you did that. The company has certain risk and challenges which you identified in assignment 1. Here in the assignment 2, we shall be trying to find out the solutions to them. And we will assume rather, that all the challenges and the risk and the threats which you highlighted in assignment 1, they are somehow connected with your exchange rate fluctuation. Now, assuming that you are a Finnish company and you are exporting to Canada, and let's assume that your customer in Canada would be paying you in Canadian dollars. So what type of risk you are exposed to? Okay, we can talk about it at length, but let's take some kind of example. So just assume that you are a Jyväskylä-based company. I'm writing the full text so that you can understand what I'm trying to do. And you are selling to firm A in Canada. You can be selling them some goods or some services for Canadian dollar, CAD, 4 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's assume that the current exchange rate is yes, Fernando, I'm coming to that point. And the current exchange rate is dollar. I have to write CAD because it's Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar 1 is equal to euro 75. Let's assume. I mean, I know. It means that Jyväskylä-based company A, let's call it X. Okay, let's call it X because otherwise I have to write the Jyväskylä-based company all the time. It means that X will receive please somebody help me in the multiplication. If you are getting 4 million Canadian dollars, and for each Canadian dollar in the home currency, that is euro, you get 75 cents. How much will you get for 4 million? How many millions will you get in euros?
Isn't it 3 millions?
It will be 3 million because all you need to do is multiply 4 million with 75 cents. It means that you'll be getting 4 million Canadian dollars would be equal to euro 3 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Now assume that when firm A pays you the CAD depreciates to CAD 1 equals actually appreciates to euro 65. But first of all, please tell me, do you know the meaning of appreciates here? In foreign exchange, in finance, if a certain currency becomes expensive, we use the phrase, actually, no, it's depreciates. Sorry. Yeah. So if a certain currency becomes expensive in your local price, then it's called appreciation or appreciates. But if it becomes cheaper, it becomes depreciates. Like in this case, you can see that when the contract was signed with this Canadian company on that day, the exchange rate was 1 Canadian dollar equal to 75 European cents. But when this Canadian company wants to pay you back after, let's say, 1 month, 2 months, whenever, on that day, Canadian dollar is equal to 0.65 euro, 65 cents. So please, first of all, tell me, is Canadian dollar cheaper now or expensive now?
Canadian dollar is more expensive comparing if you are paying in euros.
Is Canadian dollar expensive?
Oh no. It's depreciated. Yeah, it's depreciated.
So Canadian dollar has depreciated. It's like saying that you see an advertisement that some shirt or some shoes are selling for 75 euros, and when you go to shop, because you are prepared to pay 75 euros, and you find that no, it's even cheaper, it's 65 euros. So you can say that the shoes have become even cheaper. Cheaper mean depreciates. We don't say cheaper and expensive in the forex market, in the foreign exchange market. We use the phrases appreciation and depreciation. If it goes up, then it's appreciation. If it goes down, it's called depreciations. It means that when you are going to get the money from Canada, 4 million Canadian dollars, on that day, your Canadian dollar is not for 75 euros, but 0.75 euros, but for 0.65 euros. It means that the Canadian dollar has become cheaper in comparison to your local currency. Remember, you are in Finland and your local currency is euro. So it means this firm based in Jyväskylä, firm X, will now receive how much? How much money will you get?
$2.6 million.
Exactly. So you'll be getting 2 point, I can say 2.601, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 2.6 million euros, basically. There is a loss. Loss of how much? You could have, in the good times, you could have got 3 million, but you got 2.6 million. So basically, there's a loss of euro 400,000 in this transaction. 400, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is the loss. Yeah. Anybody who hasn't understood this example? Similarly, a Jyväskylä-based company, the same company, the same company, same Jyväskylä-based company, X, receives or buys all the inputs and other supplies from Australia. It buys worth Australian dollar, let's say 2 million or 3 million, let's say 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 million. The rate of exchange is Australian dollar 1 is equal to euro, let's say 80. In other words, X will pay how much? That should be 2.4 million, I think. X will pay 2.4 million. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's assume that on the actual payment day, say after 1 month, the Australian dollar appreciates to odd 1 equals euro 95. Firm X will now have to pay how much? 2.85 million. 285. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. There is a loss of, you were meant to pay 2.4 million if nothing would have changed, but things change and you are going to pay 2.85 million. In other words, you are paying in euros 450,000 extra. So there's a loss of, sorry?
Isn't it 3.8?
No, if you multiply,
it's
no,
3,000.
if you multiply,
sorry.
yeah, if you multiply 95 with 3, you get 285, and then adjust for the zeros.
Yeah, I just thought it's 4,000 as well.
Yeah. So there is a loss of 450,000. See the situation. This company X can be a fantastic company in the world. All the knowledge, skill, all the IT skills, all the programming, everything, they can have everything. But what they're lacking is the financial mindset. I mean, in terms of operations, in terms of their technology, in terms of their marketing, in terms of their everything, they can be state-of-the-art company. But what they did, they forgot to hire somebody who have a knowledge of financial risk. And guess what happens? When they sell, there's a loss of 400,000. And when they are buying, there's a loss of 450,000. So altogether, this company has tolerated in one, maybe this happened in the same month. So maybe in a given time, firm X lost, the firm X has lost euro 850,000. 1, 2, 3. This loss was avoidable loss, totally avoidable. It could have been very well taken care of. But because of the lack of financial, this kind of mindset, maybe this was a tech company. The problem with the tech company is that they're too idea obsessed. They never see the world out of their idea. They see that the whole world revolves around their ideas. But that's not true. We live in a dynamic world. Here, the shipments are delayed. The goods are lost. The goods can be spoiled. The customers can cancel the order at the last moment. The supplier can charge more price at the last moment, or he can delay the delivery of the goods. The labor can go on strike. There can be some environmental issues. There can be some legal issues. Somebody can sue you. There can be COVID-19. There can be some tsunami. There can be anything and everything possible in the world. So as a result, what happened? You are bearing a loss for none of your fault. Actually, because of your fault, because if you are a little bit more intelligent, if you're a little bit more careful, conscious, you could have actually avoided this loss. But this is happening because of the market dynamics. It is because there's a world outside your factory and outside your office that doesn't remain stable, that doesn't remain constant. But one good thing was that you could have avoided this situation. So imagine a company in your last example. Your customer is delaying you. Customer is in Canada. Not only you get the money late, but when you get the money late, even if you get the money late, you still have a loss. See the tragedy? What was a common problem we identified in the first assignment? That, hey, our cash cycle is very late. And the cash cycle is long because the biggest reason why your cash cycle is long is because the customer is not paying in time. They are paying after 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and your supplier is taking money from you after every short interval. So you have to pay more frequently to your supplier, but the customer is paying you less frequently. And if your customer is based in Canada or any other country in the world, and he or she not only is paying you late, but also is paying you in some foreign exchange, and if this happens, depreciates, then you get the money not only late, but also you have a loss in your home currency, and your home currency is euro. Do you know the reason why in both example I put euro on the right side? Because if I put euro on the left side, then your one loss would be in Canadian dollar and the other loss would be in Australian dollars, and I can't compare it. How can I add X amount of Canadian dollars with X amount of Australian dollars? No, I want a common currency. And the which currency? The home currency. If you remember the consolidated financial statements of the companies, those companies which you assessed, which you investigated in the first assignment, many of them were global companies. They were having operations all over the world. But when you see their consolidated financial statements, always they write the unit of currency of their home currency, so that they can calculate, they can make final profit and loss in their home currency, domestic currency, national currency. And because in my example, the company is based in Uvascula, so obviously we want to check gain, loss, everything in euros. That's why I was writing euros, the home currency values on the right side. and the foreign currency on the left side. Canadian dollars one on the left side, Australian dollar one on the left side, so that we can have a we can compare apple to apple comparison, not adding apples with banana. So that is the reason. I didn't tell you then, but now I think if this loss was in 400,000 Canadian dollars and this loss was 450,000 Australian dollars, you can't add them. But if this loss is in the same unit, like in euros, you can simply add. You can say that, hey, in this transaction, we have lost 850,000. We don't know why we lost it. We are a great company. We have the best products. We have the best designs. Okay, well, you don't know the market then. You are not selling your goods on planet Mars. It's on Earth. And here, the things are dynamic. Things can change. So if you're a small company and you can't employ any Harvard-educated finance PhD, at least what you can do is you can give some training to your top managers that they understand this reality. This is a reality. So you have lost 400,000 on your sales, and see what, life doesn't stop here. You also are complaining of your bigger cash cycle, because you assume that your supplier based in Australia is demanding money from you more frequently. Not only more frequently, but when the time of payment comes, you end up paying more, actually, in euros. Because the currency in which you are making payment abroad to your supplier in Australia has appreciated. And that puts additional pressure. So not only you have to pay 3 million Australian dollars quickly, faster, but you also have to pay $450,000 extra. And believe me, if you can, both this total loss, it's called double whammy, that you are getting less money from your sales and you end up paying more money in your purchase. And ultimately, you are having a massive amount of loss, $850,000 loss, euros loss to a small and medium enterprise, to a startup, to an initial stage company, is nerve-wracking. It can just kill the company, basically. So where would you pay your salaries from? Where would you pay the rent? Where would you pay the, how would you spend on R&D? If you're a tech company, how would you invest on R&D? Come on, you are losing too much money in your business transactions. So this is why the role of financial risk management becomes very vital. And I'm repeating third time now that this loss was actually avoidable loss. In our group, we have two students at least, Janne and Fernanda. Were you only two who took part in this Coventry project?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And I think they know that this is exactly what they did in the project. In case of, what was the name of the company? Was it BMW?
Yeah.
BMW. Yeah, good. So for them, it's all these things are in a way a repetition, but this is a mindset which we need to develop, that, hey, you can't let these things happen under your nose without doing anything. This is something daylight robbery. Somebody comes and steal money from you and you are helpless. So all these links, all these connections are somewhat related to, is there any way I can actually copy and paste, save it? Seher, do you know? Can we save it?
From where?
Oh, actually it is. It says save, something like save, yeah. But I want to take this example to the next page. But do you guys understand the background of this, that why we are dealing with this situation. It's very important that you understand in the light of your first assignment. Have a look at this. I really want to see you the word focus on depreciate and appreciate. There might be some confusion of this why it's called depreciation and why it's called appreciation. Something which becomes expensive in the local currency is called appreciation, and something that becomes cheaper in terms of local currency is called depreciation. And the word appreciation and depreciation is only limited to the Forex transaction. So it's we don't say that, hey, we went to buy the shoes and the shoes appreciated. Shoes became expensive or cheaper. Appreciation and depreciation words are only reserved for if it is a Forex. Forex means foreign exchange matters. Okay, and this Forex market is very much volatile. I can give you an example if you want, just a sec. I can actually give you an example, the real life example, because then it's easy to relate. Why I get the impression that you guys are very quiet today? I mean, so if you go to our favorite page, Yahoo Finance, I hope you can see the screen. Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good.
Yes.
And if we go to, for instance, well, these are the stocks, but if we go to the currencies, yeah, here we go. So for example, if we see the Euro-US exchange rate, and you can see the daily price, because so you can see here that yesterday, or is it now? Okay, whatever. Yeah, so you can see that because these are in American, sorry, in euros, yeah. So you can see that the euro has been going up and down a lot in the American markets. So around 12 a.m. Until 4 something, it was going up, but lately it has really gone down. So this is how it fluctuates. And this is a day's fluctuation, just one day. So just imagine that you are actually have to wait for 3 months. But now try to imagine you are not only having one supplying from Australia and one sales to Canada. You can be a company who is selling to dozens of companies abroad and is buying from dozens of companies from abroad. And there can be dozens of currencies involved. There can be Indian rupee, there can be Chinese currency, it can be Japanese yen, it could be Australian, it can be Korean won, it can be anything, it can be Mexican peso, it can be anything. So would you be always every moment looking at the fluctuation and calculating your profit and loss? If you do it, believe me, the CFO of the company would die of cardiac arrest, because you can't let it happen. So you have to be, you can't just wait till the bad time attack you. You have to be proactive and do something so that you are immune. You become less affected by these fluctuations. Because see, in this example, just in one day, the exchange rate has been fluctuation so drastically. And it can give you a shock. If it happens to many days, if it happens to many countries' currencies, sometimes this down movement is good if you have to pay, but this down movement is bad if you have to receive. So if all these things you have to think constantly, then I won't be surprised that the company's top manager would have some nervous breakdown. But the good news is that we have some solutions. I mean, when I see this fluctuation, it scares. It really scares. I mean, this has been so much fluctuating. Yeah. Similarly, now I want to ask you an example that you give me an example by yourself. If you are borrowing from the US, so you have borrowed from some American bank, what can be the problem? Considering this example here.
Let's assume that dollar can depreciate comparing to euro, and we'll get some less dollars. So we'll get less money. For example, if taking money from there in
you haven't understood me. I said that you borrow. The company has borrowed from from America. What would happen? What would be the problem based on it? Yeah, go ahead, carry on. Daniel?
Like, yeah, I'm here. So like, we're a borrower and we're receiving money from the bank in dollars. Or in, we're taking money in dollars. So, and if we are taking dollars, here can be problem that dollar can depreciate comparing to other currencies. And this means that we'll be able to use less dollars on the international market. We'll be required to pay more dollars, and we'll be able to buy less goods on the international markets in dollars.
Yeah, I think it's a very good example which Daniel has given. If there is a Uvascula-based company and it borrow from, let's say, some American bank, and when it gets money from American bank, then the American dollar depreciates. So the bank which gives you loan in American dollar, the American bank will give you loan in American dollars. But when you convert this loan you receive from this American bank in euros, you get less euros. It means that even though your loan stands, whatever it stands, you are going to get less amount of money because the American dollars have become cheaper or depreciates. But guess what happens? When it comes to the payment of interest, or when it comes to the payment of the money back to the American bank, then American dollars can go up. And then it can wreck the company's finances forever. So when it comes to money receiving, the worst thing can happen. The worst thing can happen is that when it comes to money receiving, that foreign currency depreciates. And when it comes to money payment, the foreign currency can appreciates. Do you get my point? So the worst thing can happen is that you get less money because the foreign currency depreciates. And when it comes to repayment, the foreign currency appreciates. So if these two things can happen, it can be a really big problem. It's like saying that You get less salary. You are meant to get 1,000 euros, but you get 800 euros. Okay, but your expenses, your rent has gone up. The grocery has become more expensive. The utilities which you pay, the water, electricity, it has gone up. So what happened? Your money goes down, the money which comes in goes down, but the cash outflow which goes out has gone up. That could be the most horrible thing. So for example, if I draw a matrix, the favorable situation can be, well, actually, not maybe text here. The favorable thing can be when firm X sells goods to Canada, the euro appreciates against Canadian dollar. Sorry. And when firm X buys from Australia, Australian dollar appreciates against euro. Sorry, it should be Canadian dollars here. The CAD appreciates against euro. And when firm X buy from Australia, Australian dollar depreciates against euro. But life is not like this. So things can go unfavorable. When firm X sells goods to Canada and Canadian dollar depreciates, like it happened in the example, you can see the Canadian dollar depreciates. And when firm X buys from Australia, Australian dollars become expensive. So if these things can go favorable or unfavorable. But here my basic question to you is, favorable or unfavorable, do you want to live on your fate, your luck? You spend millions of euros in the business. So do you want to be on the mercy of nature, the mercy of situation, circumstances? No, you must not, and you cannot. You have to be proactive and take the bull by the horn and make some proactive arrangements so that you don't face this bad situation in the first place. And that is what we will be doing in this task too. Because most of your problems, as I said, that all the risk, threats, challenges basically are in the global market. Because the companies which you took, they all, by the way, I think maybe some exceptions, except a few companies, most of the companies which you have chosen have very strong global relations. And one point I want to make right now, before it's too far, that please check the annual reports of your company. And if your company has no or very limited global relationships where the foreign exchange is involved, then change your company right now. Because imagine a very sad situation that your company neither export anything nor import anything, there is no forex relationship. In that case, we will not be able to do our assignment 2 in the context of your case company. So make sure that your company has enough of, well, if not fully multinational, but it has sizable amount of the foreign exchange transactions. Okay. Today, I will not discuss the first. My plan is that tomorrow when we meet, we will be doing our first hedging technique. Hedging means the risk management technique, and we'll be using forwards. So we shall be using forwards. We'll be having, originally I have 4 in my mind. I don't know how successful I will be, but at least 3 for sure I will do. The forwards, the futures, and options. These are 3 risk management tools which we should definitely study in this assignment. If possible, if time allowed me, and I could see that yes, you are fine, you're not, you're not struggling, then I would do the 4th one called swap as well. So in this assignment, our risk management tools or techniques or methods will include forwards, it's a name, the futures, and the 3rd one definitely would be options. And if possible, I shall include swaps as well. So once again, I repeat that make sure that your company is having enough of Forex links. So, and how do you know it? Just use some words. For example, you can find some search words: currency, exchange, foreign, by each, and then you can also use these words: forwards, futures, options, swap. So try to find out, and then you will know that your country. And by the way, you can, when you see your, the first section of your annual report, you will find out that if they are using. And by the way, risk management. That in the annual report, there is a risk management section, risk or risk factor or something. Yeah. So then you will know that how much your company is inclined to the foreign exchange transactions. This assignment, because now we have been dealing till now with the financial ratios, and now we are playing a different role. So I understand that it will take you some time to gulp, to get it down in your mind, and what exactly we are trying to do. But it's very important that you try to understand your role and your expectations as soon as possible. Okay, but the key premise of this topic is this one, which I highlighted. That you can be a fantastic company, you can be a great company with a great entrepreneur with highly, tech-driven mind. You can do fantastic programming, but if you don't know the basic nuance of finance, then you can't be, because ultimately, no matter what you produce, what you generate, what you manufacture, you have to sell in the market. And when you sell in the market, you have to be careful of the market dynamics or the risk. And one of the biggest risks you can get exposure is to the exchange rate fluctuations. You borrow, you sell, you get the supplies, you do whatever. When the company is growing, then this exposure becomes more and more. Okay, so please make sure that you understand this thing which we have discussed so far. And if you have any questions, we can discuss it tomorrow when we are meeting. So I don't want to say more about it. I want to give you food for thought today in the very initial stages. Watch the video when I send it to you, and try to understand what is expected out of you in this assignment. And then after you understand, it's not a rocket science to understand. The only thing is that when you get the money, the foreign exchange become worthless. Oh, you got less money. And when you are paying abroad, then the foreign exchange become more expensive. So you have to pay more. So basically, it's like saying that you are selling something and the price is getting down. But when you buy something, the price is going up and you are in a bad situation. The good situation would be the price you receive should go up and the price you pay should go down. That's a favorable situation, but we can't always pray or hope that this situation occurs and remains forever. It can be by luck, by chance, this thing can happen, this favorable situation can happen, but we always prepare. In business, we never take the upside for granted. If it is, great, but the upside would never remain forever. But we always prepare ourselves for the downside. We never count our chickens before they hatch in the business, but we always be prepared to face the unpleasant situations. If you don't do it, then that business would never last. So that is the whole idea, that you can't take this favorable situation for granted and you can't assume that it would be happening forever. Okay, so that is what is the basic and the background of this topic. So we shall see each other tomorrow at 4 o'clock, and then we will discuss more. But please, before you come to the lecture tomorrow, understand the basic, the foundation of this topic. And then we shall, and once you understand it, we have some discussion tomorrow, and then I will take on the first tool of this risk management, that how can we avoid this situation. And I said a few times today that this situation, this loss this Jyväskylä based company had was totally avoidable. It was very easily avoidable. And then we shall study tomorrow how we can avoid such risks to the companies so that they stay immune to these issues. Okay, so that's it from my end. Please go through it, and we shall have more in-depth discussion tomorrow during the lecture.
Shab, I have
Shab?
posted the message related to the session. You can check.
Okay, oh, no problem, it's fine.
Okay.
So yeah.
Shab, sorry.
Yeah.
Can I ask a couple of questions according to our
Oh,
second
you have
project?
a couple of questions. Yes, please go very quickly.
Just about the team.